Rogers Show podcast. My question for you is, what would you do if you became president to help the working class?
Well, I think the principal thing right now is housing. That the price of housing is going up, and it's beyond the reach of most American families.
Along with oil and gas and food.
Well, inflation is hurting everybody. And inflation is, I'm going to unravel the war machine. I'm going to reduce dramatically healthcare costs by ending the chronic disease.
You are now listening to the greatest show in the universe.
Hey man, this is Tommy Chong, and right now you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey, this is Jordan Belfort, the real Wolf of Wall Street, and you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sean Danielson from Smile Empty Soul, and you are listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
The Anthony Rogers Show.
Brian Van Dyke from the Verve Pipe here, and you're listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey, this is James Jude Courtney, Michael Myers, a.k.a. The Shape, in Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and the soon-to-be-released Halloween Ends. And this is The Anthony Rogers Show.
I am Dave Holmes from MTV and Esquire Magazine, and you are listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
What's up, everybody? WWE Hall of Famer, the Godfather, and cannabis expert, and connoisseur, and you're watching The Anthony Rogers Show. Peace.
But I need to remind you that without sponsors like Smokies Edibles and without you watching or listening to this show, it just wouldn't exist. Smokies Edibles is a delicious and healthy way to enjoy marijuana without smoking. I prefer Smokies Edibles to other brands, not just because they're a sponsor of this show, but because they are amazing and taste great. I ate them for months, if not years, before they were a sponsor. A big fan, huge fan. I pretty much eat these every day, and you should try one before a show and get on my level. I usually eat them right before a show. They're vegan, no corn syrup, plant-based ingredients, no gluten. So not only are they good for your mind, they're good for your body. So go to the link in the description or go to a dispensary near you, as they're nationwide. No matter what state you live in, you can get Smokies Edibles. Find out for yourself. Start out the new year eating your greens. Smokies Edibles. Whoa, hey there, it's Anthony Rogers, your favorite comedian in the entire world, and your new best friend, live from his tour bus. I gotta be real with you, though. This is kind of an intervention, kind of a public service announcement that we want to know what your pronouns are if you're a man, so grow a beard, get a giant beard, be a man, use luxurious bastard beard oil, link in the description, use promo code LEGENDARY, so you have no excuse, you got a discount to try it, the smell's great, the function's great, it explains how to use it on the bottle if you know how to read still. I know a lot of you can't, but here's this, try it out, get a beard, be a man. Thank you very much for watching the show. Happy New Year, may all your dreams come true.
At Revolution Coffee Company, we are dedicated to giving you the best cup of coffee you have ever had, while supporting those who keep us safe. We roast our coffee daily, and we offer same-day shipping. Our coffee never sits in a warehouse or a shelf getting stale. Our prices beat our competition, and our coffee speaks for itself. Check us out at revolutioncoffeecompany.com.
Welcome back to the greatest show in the entire universe. Today's the first show of the year. So happy New Year if I didn't say that. Today we have a huge guest. We have Tucker Max. He's fulfilling his community service by being on this shitty podcast and going completely backwards in his career. So I appreciate the charity. Here is Tucker Max. How you doing, brother?
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I ran a stop sign, and so I have to show up here.
Yeah, he doesn't. We didn't hold him hostage, just probation though. So, but there's something interesting I just want to start off with, man. Like, obviously I read your book. Obviously I've been 20 before. It was fucking awesome. The book was cool, but it's cool seeing like you become like an adult, like almost, for lack of better terminology, like
not almost, bro. Like a real adult. Like I could tell you about my day. It's all adult stuff today.
Yeah. It's bizarre, and I'm not saying I never expect that, but the way you presented yourself, like in that, it's interesting seeing that now you're like doing like homesteading. You started a school. You're like you're like an American man now. You know, it's like
Yeah.
and I love that aspect. I love I love the journey of the hero. You know, and I kind of like seeing like a reckless adolescence to like the Palace of Wisdom or whatever. You know, like William Blake quote. You know.
It is the journey of men to go from irresponsibility to responsibility, isn't it? That's what defines manhood at its core, is taking responsibility for shit.
I do think so. I think if you're not as reckless as you were in your youth, you're kind of a pussy. And I think if you're not to the point where you're at now, you're not a man. I think that's definitely polar opposites, and I think you have to do that to get wise. You know, I think and I think it was funny hearing people were just telling me they're like, did this guy? Like, I was telling them the story about how I think in the description I just took your website description, put in there, so I didn't come up with it. But people were just like, hey, is he did he sell out? And I'm just like, no, he grew up, man. It's like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, you know.
No, if I sold out, I'd be way richer, but way more miserable. So
Yeah, I mean, you never know, man. Like, so you're on so wait, you're out of Texas and like catch me up in the last 20 years. What happened with you, man?
well, so like I wrote, like movie, books, all that came out, and then I moved to Texas in 2009, and then finished, I retired from kind of writing drunk hookup stories when I was like 33, 34, 35. Last book came out in 2012, and then I took a couple years off, because I made plenty of money, and then I ended up starting a company to help people write and publish books. And we did like David Goggins' book, and I grew that company to, like a big 8-figure company. I sold my part in it. And then it ended up going bankrupt right after I left, like 6 months after, because the CEO ran it in the ground. But that's a kind of a different story. And then, I met a woman, met a lot of women, but one of them I married. And then, I got my shit together first. Then met a great woman, then married her. Because everyone's like, oh, like if you meet a great woman, you get yourself together. It's not how it works. Like great women don't want to get together with fixer-uppers, right? Or dudes who are awesome, but like sleeping with 6 other girls. They want to, except for Nick Cannon's women. But like right? Like those women, like, yeah, I want to be number 14. Like, okay, cool. You need to go meet Nick. But met a great woman, married her. We've got 4 kids. And then I moved out about an hour outside of Austin to a town called Dripping Springs, bought a ranch. And like, I have a huge, like 60 sheep, a bunch of chickens, 4 kids. And like, we have like a homestead, fruit trees. Like we have everything. We're at the point now, like I've gone, not just like homestead, like Instagram homestead, right? Which is like those people who's like, look at my homestead life, and I cook this little, like, okay, that's cool. But like, I don't buy meat at the grocery store anymore. Like I hunt, like I hunted, I took down 30 deer this year, right? And so like that's more than enough meat for me and my family. That feeds a lot of the kids. We got a lunch program at the school we started, feeds those kids. Slaughtered 2 cows, which my friend raises. And then the sheep, I got God knows how many sheep that come off this place. So like all the meat I eat, like it comes off of my ranch, or I hunt and I process it here. Like I kill it here, I skin it, I gut it, hang it, butcher it. Like it looks cool on Instagram when the bearded butchers are doing this stuff, but when you're doing it, especially if you're not as good as them, because those dudes are awesome. Like butchering an animal's hard, man. You watch that video, like, oh, how hard can it be? These guys look like meatheads. And you do it, it's like, oh my God, they're artists. Like, how do they do that? It's really hard. And so that's been the last like 3 years. The last 10 years of my life has been becoming a father. And the last 3 years has been like truly providing for my family in like a healthy, sustainable way. And so that's kind of where I am now, man.
That's awesome, man. That's crazy, man. Like, yeah, you're a little ahead of me because I haven't got the ranch yet, but I've been going to the farmer's market instead of like buying poison, and I've been doing that, and I know I'm supposed to do the next step. I know that I don't have the ranch money yet. I need to get that. That's what I'm trying to get together. Do next couple of years, get that together, and just like, I mean,
They're not cheap anymore, man. It used to be easy. and like it's not anymore. It's rough. Yeah, it is. You like to get something affordable. You got to go like kind of in the middle of nowhere. It sucks now. That's the truth.
That's what.
Yeah.
Missouri's a little more affordable probably than where you're at, but
It is. It is. Or Arkansas. Those two states, you can still get really good land, pretty cheap. But then the problem is you're in Missouri and Arkansas. So
not a fan of Missouri, I guess.
I mean, it's better than West Virginia.
It's better.
It is legitimately. Yes.
So are you from that area? Are you from the Triangle area?
No. I'm from Kentucky, actually,
okay,
which is like we don't have many states we can make fun of. Like it's West Virginia, Arkansas, and Mississippi, which are guaranteed that we can make fun of. And then there's another level that's like borderline, like South Carolina, it's kind of even. Missouri, like we can make fun of them, but they make fun of us back. Like, you can't read. Well, you don't have all your teeth, and it's like, like it's pretty even. There's only a few states we can make fun of, but no one knows where I'm from because my accent is like it's so modern American. It's totally like no one's like I can't tell at all. Michigan? No, no, definitely not. Yeah, because you when you come from bumpkin states, if you get I went to boarding school early, and then college in University of Chicago, and then law school at Duke. And so you get rid of that accent quick when you go through the grist mill of higher education. But then I can't it's funny, man. Like I thought about it, man. I really did. My wife and I looked at Kentucky and Tennessee. We didn't look really at Missouri, but buying there. And it's like, it's still in Kentucky, man. You can get for what I paid for 50 acres in Dripping Springs, which is a pretty nice area in Texas. And there's a lot of like pretty wealthy people out here. God, man, I could have gotten probably 500 acres in Kentucky, right? But then I'm in BFE Kentucky, and it's like there's upsides to that. There are certain things good about that for real, but I was like, no, I still need to be by like kind of a city a little bit. I'm not quite so like extreme that I'm like I don't care where I live, just get me away from everybody. I'm not quite there yet. I might be in a few years, but not right now.
Kentucky's kind of surprising. Kentucky was like really clean. I didn't think it would be. It was the first time I saw Kentucky, I was like, wow, it's actually pretty nice. It wasn't that bad.
Well, where'd you go? If you go to the hollers of Eastern Kentucky, it's not clean. It's bad. It's not good.
I cut somewhere. I mean, I think like I don't remember exactly where I went. I just cut. I was like more of a cut through, and I remember making fun of it in my head, and like Mississippi definitely lived up to all the insults. I think.
Yeah.
They just hated me for being white, and I'm like, this is like the area. This is weird.
Mississippi's it's a rough place, dude. It's not good. No.
Yeah. It's like I don't know what happened to that state, man. But yeah, no, it's I think I took a train through this summer.
I think slavery and the Civil War is what happened to that state.
It never
bro, it hasn't. Dude, I went to Vicksburg. If you want, you think that's a joke. It's not a joke. Go to Vicksburg. Like, if you study the Civil War, Vicksburg is like one of the major battles in the siege of Vicksburg and all this. I don't think the city ever recovered from that. And I mean that at least on a spiritual level. Like, almost everything in that city feels like it's stuck in the 19th century. Like, it's weird, man. It's really weird.
There's a sleeper train that goes from about where I'm from in St. Louis to New Orleans, and people are like getting off there. I'm like, you fucking get off here. I'm like you purposely got off the train at this spot, and I'm just like, and you want to get off and like start fixing the building. You want to like be like, all right, I'm gonna paint something so this looks like a fucking town again. It's
dude,
just,
have you ever gone down the Mississippi? Like, I actually have. And
I want to.
It's crazy. You forget in America. We forget because the way modern transportation works, it's all trucks, right? And but for 150 years, every bit of meaningful transportation in this country was by water, right? And so it was the Erie Canal or the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River drains like 70% of the or 80% of the country, right? And so like, if you go down all the towns, like Natchez, Mississippi, right? Like, what the hell is that? Some of the nicest houses you've ever seen in your life are in Natchez, Mississippi, because it was a major river town. Or, what's Quincy, Illinois, I think it's called. I went Cairo, like the city Cairo in Egypt, same spelling in Illinois. I think that's where the Mississippi meets, like, God, I want to say the Ohio, or it's not that, some other major river. And it was a huge city in like 1890, right? And some of the it literally, the richest person there is like worth a pack of Marlboros now. But like, bro, some of the nicest antebellum mansions you can even imagine are in that city. They cost like what the equivalent of millions of dollars in today's money to build. There's like dozens of them there, and like you can buy them for like, like spare change.
That's
Like I know I like it's people I don't know how we got on this topic, but it is actually a weird topic I know a lot about, is like what are effectively, not literally, but effectively abandoned river towns, right? They're actually, if you want to do something cool, man, you want to live somewhere amazing, go get 10 or 20 people and go find one of those towns like Natchez or Cairo or whatever. And I promise you, you can buy most of the town for nothing, right? And so you get enough people in, get enough of the land, and then start like making it a thing. That like there's a bunch of places, people I know trying to do that with various places in America. No one's done it that I know of in like a river town, which would be amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
About Illinois, you feel about Kentucky though. I feel like that's like it's like our Arkansas if we didn't have an Arkansas. It's like Illinois would be hard to live in. No,
Illinois is a horrible state. Oh, dude, I lived in Chicago for 7 years, and the state of Illinois is like a fucking toilet. I hate it.
Dude,
it's the
weird.
worst.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like Chicago's like super liberal and weird, and then the rest of the state's like really farmer and weird. It's just like it's a weird. I mean, East St. Louis is in Illinois. That sums it all up, basically. Like all the problems, people think St. Louis has is like the Illinois side of St. Louis.
Right, but it's still St. Louis. What a horrible town. I went that town once. I'm like, I'm never going back here. This is awful.
When were you in St. Louis? That's hilarious.
Oh man, it was like 15 years ago. It was it was the worst.
What was what? Yeah, you got to tell me your opinion. I'm from here and I love it.
No, seriously, I'm not joking. I think it's the worst city in America above 500,000 people, and I'm including Detroit.
Dude, that's so funny.
I would go to Detroit 10 times out of 10 before St. Louis.
Oh man, there's too many juggalos in Detroit, but it's like a smaller Detroit, definitely. No, it feels like that here.
No, it's way worse, bro. It's way worse. I think it really is, because Detroit's like a city after it's been bombed, right? And so it's like, okay, like this has been a bombed out city, and there's things you can do in a bombed out city. But like St. Louis is like Escape from New York. Like the zombies still live there. It's like it died, but it didn't get bombed. And it's awful. It's like being in I don't know how to describe it. It's like living in a horror movie, but like in real life, but with humans. And it's just like, what? I don't understand how anyone can live there. Like it really, it's like I go there. I'm just like, oh, like the time I went, I was shocked that humans live there. And bro, I've been to Calcutta. And I wasn't shocked. I'm like, okay, St. Louis is one of the worst cities I've ever been in the world. It's by far the worst city in America.
I feel like that's gonna be an intro clip for next time I interview somebody from this town. It's like I'm gonna intro that clip,
dude. It's unarguably the worst city in America. I don't care what anyone says, man. Fuck them.
I love it here, but I can totally see criticism, and it's just hilarious, to be honest with you. Criticism is just hilarious.
I don't even think it's criticism. I just think it's like saying the sky is blue. It's like, okay.
Just in there. I went to Salt Lake City, and like people are like, man, it's really dangerous here. And I googled like the difference. I'm like Salt Lake City, most dangerous town in Utah. And I compared it to St. Louis. You're like, oh, never mind, you're fine. It was like
Salt Lake City it's fine. It's like very vanilla. Believe it or not, I'll tell you a crazy story. One of the best Italian restaurants in America is in Salt Lake City.
Okay,
I'm not kidding. It's called Veneto, right? It's the guy who's the Bastianich wine importer for the West Coast owns it. He's from Veneto, Italy. He's an Italian guy. His name's Marco, and he's like an amazing cook, and he kind of runs it. It's really small. He doesn't advertise it. And I found it through a good friend of mine who lives in Salt Lake City. And bro, I make up excuses to go to Salt Lake City to go to that restaurant.
That's awesome. I'll have to try that next time I come through there. Like, Utah is a weird kind of state. Like, I don't know, man. Like Salt Lake City was kind of ghetto, but not as bad. Yeah, when you're from St. Louis, it doesn't seem that dangerous.
Yeah, nothing's ghetto compared to St. Louis. This is true.
No, it is. I know. I totally have the same complaints. I think I've been robbed like 3 times here. It just means I have cool shit. I feel like though. I mean, it's just like I think it's like a compliment, you know, when you get robbed. Like, man, I'm like, all these people like my shit. You know, it's like, but no, yeah.
Bro, I'm pretty sure, you know, like the TV show, The First 48. I'm pretty sure I remember reading this. They didn't go to St. Louis because they were afraid for their cameraman.
Dude,
the First 48, the whole point of the show is following cops, so they need a lot of murders. Following, you know, the homicide detectives. St. Louis is the most murders in America. It's the #1 murder city. I don't even know that for a fact, but I bet you Google it. I promise you it's true. And, per capita. I mean, per capita.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. And I bet, I just know. I know it is. I promise you it is. And
no, it
is it? Like, Google it. I bet you it is.
New York City technically has more murders.
Per capita? No, per
not
capita.
Per capita. Not per capita. St. Louis has most murders per capita for sure. And like,
I know it does, dude. I know it does. And I remember First 48, like they need to go, they can only go to like the top 20, 25 murder cities per capita because they just need a certain volume to film enough. They can't go to #1 because like literally it's like there's too many murder or it's too unsafe.
Dude, yeah, bands stop coming here too because like their vans just get like stolen. Like they just like steal the van, all the equipment, stuff like that too, outside of venues. Like, I mean, that's part of St. Louis. But like the suburbs are like super nice and stuff. Like they have like everyone lives in the suburbs. There's like 8 million people in the suburbs, only like 300,000 people in the city. And like I'm like, and I'm from like around. I'm from the suburbs originally, but I lived in St. Louis a lot, and I could definitely see I mean, I blatantly can see the criticism though. I mean, I agree.
So I Googled it because one of your comment idiots said New Orleans is. You're wrong, asshole. St. Louis, Missouri, #1 murder rate in the U.S. 69 murders per 100,000 people. Told you.
I still like it here, man. They have good restaurants and stuff. But I know but you know, if I wasn't from here, I probably wouldn't have any loyalty to it. Like, to be honest, like I think it's just like a hometown kind of thing more so. But
Dude, that's a trauma bond. I'm telling you. That's like a girl who's like, I know he hits me. But I love him.
Dude, that's so funny. And probably true too. Probably it's like, but yeah, it's like people are terrified here for sure, man. I see people come here all the time. They won't ride the Metrolink or anything. They're like terrified. They're terrified of like black children, like black teenagers. And that's kind of what's funny to me. It's just like they're like, because only criminals here are like, well, hang on. I do like a comedy set here, like every once in a while, like locally, and like after one of them, this cop was like showing me shootout videos he had with these people. It just looks like fucking Call of Duty, man. He's like he was just smashed drunk, like showing me a bunch of like, and the dude's cool. I'm not making fun of anything. He was just showing me a bunch of shootouts he had with all like all these people, dude.
Oh, that is. What do you want me to say, dude? When cops are like when random cops just have shootout videos on their phones, like. Patrol cops. Oh yeah, I got a couple that I just shot myself. Like,
I feel like I'd die and live anywhere else, though. You know, it's like it's this kind of thing. It's like I've seen a lot of places and they're not fun. You know, it's like I mean, they're just not as fun as here, man. You have like the country, city, and suburbs like all really close here, and I kind of like that. I mean, but also like I said, I grew up here, so it's like super biased. I just like I definitely am like probably the only person you'll ever find that likes Missouri. Like
bro, listen, I don't try and talk abused people out of their abuse if they don't want to leave. What do you? I mean,
so funny. That's so funny. But no,
if you're happy with it, I hope you don't die there. I hope you don't get shot. I'm rooting for you to stay alive.
That's the ironic moment. Like I just shot him live stream while defending it. I'm like, it's actually a really nice place. Like someone just robs my bus.
Right, just caught a burner. That'd be funny. No, it wouldn't. It'd be horrible, but.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Just. What was your favorite place you've been to, like in the United States or so?
Oh, that's a hard question, man. It depends on for what. You know, like believe it or not, I think the best restaurant city in America is probably Vegas.
Yeah.
No, just because it has so many amazing restaurants so close together. Like I wouldn't want to live in Vegas. That would obviously be horrible. But like, my wife and I love going to Vegas. We don't even gamble, bro. Like we stay at the non-gaming resorts, and then we like lay by the pool and then go to amazing dinners, right? So like we have the laziest vacations. It's awesome. So for that, I mean, and there's parts of Florida I like, but only to visit, of course, because it's Florida. I kind of, it just depends. America's such a weird place right now, man. Like I used to love going to New York, and New York is like a wasteland now, dude. New York City, I mean, like it's horrible. Like it's really bad. And LA is like, man, I'm making fun of St. Louis, and rightfully so. But like right now, downtown LA might be worse than St. Louis, parts of St. Louis, like, than all of St. Louis. So parts of LA might be like, so like, and LA is just like, so that used to be a fun place to visit, but it's horrible now. So
LA,
like, I don't know. It's hard.
I feel like LA looks like the last day of a music festival. Like there's just like tents and trash everywhere. It's not. I don't understand how people live there at all.
Bro, have you been to downtown LA in the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's bad.
Like
it's bad.
No, it's dangerous. Isn't even the right word. Like, I haven't been to war zones, but I know people who have, and they're like, yeah, man, it's like this, but this is worse because it's not supposed to be a war zone.
Yeah.
Like in a war zone, you expect this. This is supposed to be America.
Yeah. COVID killed those cities, man. Like everybody, all the people just went to like.
No. COVID did not kill anything.
The protocol.
Lunatic, woke, blue city bureaucrats killed city. Like, let's not pretend. I don't even know if COVID's real. Like as a distinct deadly virus, it's probably just a fucking flu. But like COVID didn't do shit to anybody. Lockdowns did. Politicians did.
More
accurately. It wasn't COVID.
And I agree 100% with that. Yeah, no, more accurately put, yeah. I just most people aren't smart, so I just like I just narrow. I just tell
Thank you for calling me stupid. That's a very good way. That's a cool way to call me dumb. I just didn't know. I thought you might be dumb, so I had to start dumb, and now you're showing me you're smart, so we can talk smart.
Well, I mean, statistically speaking, like most people are stupid, probably. Yeah, I was just assuming that you were. I'm just joking, no. But no, yeah, no. That was a bizarre time too. Yeah, that communist takeover America really killed a lot of the cities. You know, like it just seemed like that's crazy. We just lost YouTube, I guess, after the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, right. They've got wrong thing. Get them off.
Yeah, we're able to go live on fucking Grindr now. So like after. Just follow us on Grindr. Yeah, since we lost YouTube. But no, it's definitely a bizarre world. I think, and it's cool. I think more people are doing the kind of thing you're doing. I think they're going back to the farms. They're going back to the. I mean, the cities are decay. The suburbs are kind of bullshit. And I think people are going back to the farms. It seems like. I mean, everybody's like, I can't afford groceries. I'm like, they grow in the fucking ground. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? It's just like, what are you doing?
I know, it's crazy. I actually, it's funny. The two groups I see that are doing what we're doing are either young people who are really poor and who are, what they figured out is kind of what I was telling you, is that there are a lot of essentially empty small towns in America. And so if you're cool being in the middle of nowhere, you can actually still get amazing deals. Like I know a dude who went to, where did he go? Someplace in upstate New York. Upstate New York is huge. Like you'd never think about it, but like New York State is like one of the biggest states, like by land mass, right? And he went to some town up by Plattsburgh, like the Canadian border, not like where Toronto is, but like the other part, like way north. And there was like no one there, and he bought like a decent house for like 70 grand, like a solid house that would have been like $400,000 in Texas.
Wow.
And because Texas used to be cheap, but it's not cheap anymore. And so like, and he's like living like a king and trying to get his friends up there. And he like, bro, he works at like, he runs like not the dock, but what's the goddamn thing? The lock where, like the stuff still goes down. It's not the Erie Canal, but whatever the river is, he runs the lock and he makes like 60 grand a year and he lives like a king. And he's like, this is amazing. And so and he's like growing a bunch. He's got his wife super into homesteading, and they grow a bunch of stuff. And they actually, no kidding, their quality of life is really high. And because they can do a lot of stuff for themselves, and they do, and it's great. And so it's either that group or the other group I see are people like me and my friends who are kind of smart, who have money, who are like getting the fuck out. Like who've really like right, we're leaving the blue cities because it's like, oh, bro, Austin used to be so safe and so amazing. And like when I got there in 2009, I thought I was gonna be there for 3 months, and I never left. It was just incredible. And then COVID hit, and then all the politicians, which are like the Soros mayor, we have a Soros DA here, and they're all lunatic idiots, and they broke everything. And then all the Californians came, the idiot Californians, the people you're talking about who are dumb. Like they all came, and it was like locusts, dude. And it was just like, oh god, it's horrible now. Like you might, like, it's like part of a huge reason why we left. And so like people who are smart with money have seen what's coming, and they're like, I need to get on land. And even if they're not really like, I'm not really homesteading in a true sense. Like I'm not trying to sell this stuff. I'm not growing everything. I just piece by piece, I'm more and more resilient. Like we have rainwater capture, so I don't have to worry about anyone else's water. We've got solar. We're hooked to the grid, of course, but I have solar and I have propane with generators. So we have really redundant power systems. And like all my meat, which is mainly what we eat, is sourced basically from animals that are unvaccinated, no hormones, nothing injected, not even processed at USDA processing centers. And so slowly but surely, and all my kids are super tall and look great and have bright eyes because they don't have any of that nonsense. And so it's like slowly but surely, like I'm like building this really amazing, like we get raw milk from our neighbor, and it's like we have raw milk every day. Like we have venison loin. Tonight I made amazing venison loin. We had raw milk ice cream for dessert. It was like, it's, this is like what our great grandparents used to do every day. And there's like life. And now it's considered a luxury good that only rich people can afford. Venison loin and raw milk ice cream, right? It's like, oh man, he's so wealthy and put together. This was like poor person food 3 generations ago.
You're right. My wife grew up like that, kind of like she grew up in like a small town and kind of introduced me to all that. Like, because I mean, I look pretty similar to what you're saying. It's like, I mean, I definitely have like I'm in a bus though, not a house. So it's like I'm just like it travels more or less. I have a traveling version of what you're doing. It's all like solar and like propane, like you're saying and stuff. I don't farm or hunt yet, but I want to. Once I get the land, I'll probably do that. I'm a little behind your hustle, but no, I definitely am interested in that. And that's like, I think that's the future, especially. I mean, if we don't get nuked or something, I think it's the future for sure. And I think that like, I mean, that's
not for everybody. I think it's a future for people who take that future. I like the way it's so crazy. You can see it if you're on Twitter, any social media, you can see the bifurcation, man. Some people, like some of the bug men have gone deeper into the soy, and they're like, I know I'm on my 5th booster, and they live in their, in their douche cube in Austin, and they literally eat the bugs. Like, oh, crickets are supposed to be good for me. It saves the environment. And and so it's like people are either buying the lies more and going deeper into it. Like, I'm not going to have kids to save the world. And it's like, what the fuck do you think the world is? Like, what are you talking about? And so it's like the bifurcate. That's the bifurcation. It's not everybody. Bro, people who are thinking like you and I and doing what I'm doing are right now still the minority. Like most people are still doing what they're doing. There's like, I don't know. But then like the lunatics are like going deeper into the matrix. There's a lot of those people. It's crazy to me, man. I know some of them. Like people who in 2018 were friends of mine and I thought were kind of smart are now like, literally like on their 4th booster and decided not to have kids for climate change. Like that's not just like a meme. Like those are humans that I know. And like, obviously they're not friends of mine anymore because I didn't realize that they were lunatics, but like there's a lot of those people, man. And they're going to self-segregate and they're going to be in those cities. And I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. I have a feeling I'm going to be okay though. And people who think like us are going to be all right, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, that whole like 2020 thing was a giant IQ test, and like, dude, like going back to making fun of St. Louis, like people were like they had like tape and trash bag hazmat suits. They had like hazmat suits made out of trash bags,
I
and I'm
don't
like,
know, right?
you're gonna fucking outlive me? Like it's like what? It just made no sense. I'm like trying to get like go to the corner market in my bathrobe still, and everybody's like think it's the fucking world's ending, and I'm just like it's just like I mean. It made me build a bus, man. It made me get the fuck out of there. I don't want to be like Anne Frank, you know. If shit goes down, I'm gonna move my house.
You know what you said was funny. I don't think it was an IQ test because I know a lot of people who are objectively really intelligent, high IQs, who fell for the lies and still are like, well, I mean, you don't know Epstein didn't kill himself. You don't know for sure. I mean, like, okay, there's some pedophiles in government, but we all kind of knew that, right? I mean, what's the big deal? It's like there are still people who are objectively intelligent in a brain sense, like they can do higher order math better than me, right? It's not about raw intelligence, man. And I know some people who are like kind of dumbasses who are like, well, this doesn't make sense. I'm not getting that shot. Right? And now their sperm is worth a lot of money.
That's fun. Yeah, it seemed like trauma marketing, like people with unresolved trauma fell for it hard. That like, and then people didn't believe in God. It seemed like atheists and like trauma people mostly.
Well, the atheists, because their God is the system. Their God is the bureaucracy. It's communism. That's their God. Communism is a religion. Wokeism is just dressed up 21st century postmodern communism. That's a religion, dude. It is. It has a catechism. It has a savior. It has everything Christianity has. It's like the anti-Christianity.
That makes a lot. I agree with a lot of that, and you're right. A lot of my liberal friends would be like, "Well, communism is not so bad." I'm like, man, you're just saying that because you're a loser. You're poor. You mean it's like if you have any kind of like success in America, you're not going to push communism, and then if you're like a loser, you're going to push it, and then like you're the first in the gulags.
Dude, anyone who's arguing for communism is like someone who has pronouns in their bio. It's like, oh, like not to just dismiss them. They're not even they're not an entity. They're a true NPC. Like it's like, all right, this person is like they're. You look at them like you would someone who like is some Chinese person who's telling you the Chinese Communist Party line. Like you'd be like, oh, you poor thing. It's no difference. So we have them in America now. Maybe we've always had them, for sure. Like fuck, maybe I was one. I mean, God knows, in 2003, I was all about like, oh, let's go get Saddam. He's got weapons of mass destruction. Like, fuck, I fell for it then. I mean, the world was different then, but nonetheless, like I can't sit here and be like, I saw through it every time. I didn't.
Fair.
But this last one was like, okay, hold on. Wait a minute.
Yeah, 2020 woke. I fell for it too. I voted Obama twice. I fell for it too. And I like that you can see this. A lot of famous people either don't talk about this or don't see it that I've encountered. So I'm always like walking on eggshells around people because I like as far as like in entertainment at all because a lot of entertainers don't. I mean, I guess like writing's entertainment, but I'm just saying like so writers are typically smarter than most entertainers. I think reading writing is a higher thing than whatever TikTok dance or whatever. But it's still weird that a famous person understands that because most of them either don't talk about it or just don't see it, which is
because you know why most entertainers. So a huge reason why I kind of got out of the entertainment business. When I got into it, and I realized like this, it's pretty easy to see what the system is once you get on the inside. And roughly speaking, what you have is a system that at the top is controlled by a bunch of sociopaths. Some are pedophiles, but it's not. People are like, the whole thing's pedophiles. No, man. There's like a group of them for sure, but they're not really the most powerful people. They're just kind of there.
There's like a blackmail tactic. Like it's like they would record.
Well, that's in politics, not in Hollywood. No, you don't blackmail pedophiles in Hollywood. You just fuck kids because that's what you're into, because you're whatever, right? No. If you're using like pedophilia to blackmail, that's Epstein, Mossad agent, all that shit. You don't do that shit in Hollywood. The pedophiles in Hollywood are just fucking pedophiles. They just like to diddle kids, right? And so but the point is like it's a system that is the powerful positions are held by sociopaths who only care about power over others. And everyone else in that system basically is either an aspiring, they're a sociopath who's not smart enough to be the one in charge, or they're just an empty narcissist. Like if you have a soul, it's really, really hard, if not impossible, to operate for a long time truly in the Hollywood system, right? Or in the entertainment system. There's some exceptions for sure. You can like, oh, well, this dude, and like, yeah, that dude actually is pretty amazing, and he's somehow navigated that. But like, if you think for yourself, and so the whole point is, empty narcissists just parrot what they're told to parrot. It's why all these idiot actors, it's so easy to fool them because they don't think. You don't want an actor that thinks. Bro, Hitchcock, one of the greatest directors ever, said it. Actors are cattle because they are. Like their job is to pretend to be someone else. You want those people to be authentic? That doesn't make sense. Like, that's the last person on earth you would expect to be authentic or have their own thoughts. They train to be other people. And I don't even mean that disparagingly of acting. Acting is a skill. It's hard to be a good actor. Like, if I tried to be an actor, I'd be like Bruce Willis. I would just play Tucker Max as a cop or Tucker Max as an astronaut. Like I wouldn't know how to be other people, right? And so acting is difficult and it's a skill, but there's no reason to listen to those people for anything other than acting, right? Like same with musicians. Like Taylor Swift's an amazing artist. I don't give a fuck what she thinks about anything else, you know? Like, I mean, she can talk to me about, you know, I don't know, dating asshole musicians or whatever it is she sings about. I don't know. But like she doesn't have any relevant thoughts for me about anything else, you know, like by default. Now you can have someone like Russell Brand who shows up, who's a good actor, and then also turns out to be really smart and a thinker and has his own thoughts. It's like, all right, cool, man. Like that can happen. But by no means, and so like that's why entertainers are all such parrots for whatever the party line is. Like, bro, Hollywood in the 50s was the opposite. It was the same way, but it was all like anti, like it was super patriotic, extreme fundamentalist patriotic. Everyone towed that party line, right? Because that's who most people are. But actors especially, all they are is putting on a facade. Like, why would you go into that world and expect authenticity? Doesn't make sense. Right? Which is a big reason. And of course, I didn't really get that outside of the world. And then I got into that world and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I kind of thought I was a soulless shithead. And then I got to Hollywood and I was like, oh no, I didn't have any idea what real soulless assholes were like. I'm not even like, bro, if this is what a soulless narcissist looks like, I'm out. I'm not. I was like putting on the skin of it and joking. I was like a kid playing dress up with this shit. But the thankfully is good. And so I was like, okay, like this is not for me.
I was going to say that, yeah, people that like tell people they're shitty people tend to be better than the people that pretend to be good people. It was like shitty people tend to wear the good person mask instead of like the edgy I'm shitty mask kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of I saw a lot of what you did as entertainment. Like I just see entertainment as entertainment. I don't really know what to believe in anyone really other than like your stories were great and they're entertaining to me when I read your book and stuff, you know. But I just never really a shitty person's not going to tell people they're shitty.
That's true.
Most of the time anyway. I mean, there's people are just fucking dumb, you know. But I mean, most people are gonna like put on like I'm a hero. I used to think people before I became like a Christian. I used to think people that said God bless you were all con artists. I used to just think they're saying it seemed like good people to fuck other people over. But it seems like I don't know. That was just an opinion I had at one point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reality is, dude, it's just sort of like. I'm old enough to remember when the quote unquote bad guys were on the right. Like the people who wanted to shut people down and control people and control what people could say were all on the right and mostly fundamentalist Christian. And that was when I first got started writing, like they were the bad guys. And now it feels like the exact same energy has just transported bodies and gone over. And it's the same energy. It just has a completely different political bent to it But it's the same thing. It's like, I want to control people and tell them what to do. And it's like, no, if your justification is God or Marx, it's still not going to work. You don't get to tell me what to do. Maybe God gets to tell me what to do, but you are not God's voice, and you don't get to tell me what to do. Right? Like, I'll accept God's word. I won't accept yours.
No, I agree. No, that's very well put, man. And I think that's why you're a writer, because you kind of take complex things and make them sound like simple and break them down. And I think that like that's very true. It's like and regardless, I mean, like we don't have to agree. We just have to get along. And like I don't have to agree with everybody. I don't even care what most people think, to be honest. Like I don't even care what I think most of the time. I mean, so it's just like it's just like a weird thing. Like this weird divide. Like people think that you just have to believe. Like you pass out this spreadsheet and like, okay, if you agree the same things I believe, we can be friends.
Yeah.
It's just a weird fucking thing, man. It's a weird echo chamber we're all trying to create.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I learned that the hard way. That values are way more important than beliefs.
That's interesting too. I never thought about that. That's interesting.
Oh, dude, I learned that the hard way many times. That like I'm actually like a Muslim who has like this values integrity and honesty and all that. I get along with way better than someone who, I don't know, like on the surface or on paper might share like my political or religious affiliations, but like fundamentally is not honest or is manipulative or whatever. And it's hard. Values are tough. The only way to really figure out, you can ask someone's values, but half the time either they don't know or they're going to lie. Like how many manipulative people are say, yeah, I'm a manipulative sociopath. You better watch out for me. Has that ever happened? Ever? No.
Yeah.
No one says that. And so like you got to kind of interact with people and figure out, okay, hold on. What do they do? But that's the thing I've learned the most is values trump everything. Everything.
No, I see that too. Yeah, and no one even. I mean, people all think they're a good person. Like if you ask, no one's gonna be like, "I'm a shitty person, dude."
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's true.
Pretty much everyone's like, "Oh, I'm the good guy. I'm the main character." I'm like, it's all about. And I think that's kind of how people view the world. And I don't know. I don't even know how good I mean, I'm not the judge. I'm just like, I'm just begging him to have mercy on me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that's all. I'm just a dude begging the judge to have mercy on me. Like, that's how I feel about it, man. And it's weird. I probably wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have been here if Revelation didn't exist, and it seems like it's happening right now. I don't know. It's either like the guys pretending, like taking that and pretending like they're those guys, or it's those guys, the globalists. I mean, the same thing. It's like it's just we're in a bizarre time.
You know what's fun? A lot of people are very pessimistic about especially on the Christian side, are pessimistic about what's happening right now. And for sure, there's a lot of things that aren't going well in certain ways. And I think things are going to get worse for sure. In the next year, they're going to get worse. And they might get a lot worse. But, I'm like what I call a doomer optimist, right? So like short term is like shit sucks. But long term, I think if we do our work, I think things are actually going to get way better. Like I'm actually very optimistic long term because it's sort of like okay, when you're feeling like a cold or a flu come on, right? You can take a bunch of medicine and suppress it and work through it, and that works for a while, but eventually the bill always comes due, man. Like you can't take so much Advil that you just never have to have this flu. Right? Or the cold, whatever. And so like all that does is actually make it worse when it shows up.
Dehydration.
Right? Right. And so that's what's happened, roughly speaking, is we took a shit ton of medicine, we suppressed all the symptoms, and now it's not working anymore and the symptoms are coming up. And that's the only way to get healthy, man, is they kind of have to come up, right? And so as long as what comes up isn't too disruptive and destructive, right? And things can, I think thankfully we live in a society that's rich enough and capable enough that things can get pretty bad, but still be recoverable. And I think they're going to get bad, but I think like once we come out of it, I think I think we're going to be a great spot because so many people will realize oh, we were governed by a bunch of horrific sociopaths and pedophiles and Satanists and whatever else, right? Manipulative liars and assholes. And we kind of let them do this. And all right, well, yeah, like I think what you're going to find in America is the people who make it are the ones who take back their own power. Exactly what I'm doing is one way to take back your own power. It's not the only way, right? But it is one way. And I think if enough people do that, we reach kind of a golden age. You know, we kind of reach a period where when the more people who are taking real responsibility for themselves and their lives and their families and their communities, the better the world is. And there were not a lot of people doing that in 2019. So
No, I agree, and I mean, even in the Book of Revelation, that's just the end of like an era. You know, like the New Testament Revelation is just the end of an era. There's still 1,000 years of Christ, and we're in and even in Hinduism, we're in like 1,000-year cycles. We're in like this evil, weird cycle right now, and I believe in the Renaissance too. I think there's going to be a Renaissance also. Maybe some broken eggshells, you know, like.
Yeah, you don't get to right exactly. You don't get a great omelet without breaking stuff, and we're just going through that phase, man. I think. That's just kind of how it works, dude. And I think if enough people wake up and enough people kind of do their work, then and I consider like doing their work is no more than what we're talking about. I don't think it's anyone's job to save the world. Save yourself. Save yourself. And it's not don't care about the world. I care about the world and I care about my community. But where I spend my time is myself, my family, my land, my community, my neighbors, my community. And if I can make that as good as I can with everyone else's help around here, that attitude in a million people, everything's going to be great.
No, I agree. I think that's I don't think many people see that, but I definitely agree with that. I think that I think it definitely it's a lot of people just freaked out, man. I think like we're in a constant news cycle of like fear, death, famine, war, everyone's gonna fucking die, and they just lower our vibrations so we're more obedient and stuff like that. And I'd be very surprised to see what's actually even going on. Like, you mean how much of this is actually going on, even, you know?
I mean, well, in a sense, you're right. Things are really not as bad as they feel. In certain ways, things are really bad, though, man. Like if you look at who's in charge of certain political institutions and what they're trying to do, this is not good. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a communist or global takeover of both. I mean, it seems like we're in the middle of like, I mean, just how, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of bad, just like, I don't know, man. I don't think like any of these countries have the balls to actually finish this off, you know? I think, to be honest, like, I think there'll just be a generation without kids, you know, like in their country if they fuck with this really. There's only so much stuff. I don't know how to describe it. I got a lot of faith in good, and I got a lot of faith in America, you know, even though nobody else does, it seems like.
No, there's plenty of people who do. It's just the loudest people are the ones who are the most negative. That's usually the way it is.
Yeah, it was weird because I was asking on like social media. I was like, "What are your predictions for 2024 or whatever?" I think it was like Facebook, I think, and everybody's just like, "Oh, fuck this, we're all gonna die." Like everything was just like so crazy. Like, there was no like, I'm gonna get a 6-pack and $1 million. It was just all just like, "Holy fuck, the world's gonna end this year," and it's just it's just weird, sad that I mean that's where we're at.
Here's the way I think about it. Like, someone I know who's dealt with suicide told me that the way that they dealt with it, right, and kind of moved past that phase, they were stuck kind of in a cycle of like, I want to die. And then I forget, they told me they watched some video or something, and they realized I'm asking the wrong question. The question isn't should I live or die? The question is what part of me needs to die? And they're like, when I thought about it that way, then I realized, oh shit, it's totally. And so then it started them down an amazing healing path, right? And I feel like that's kind of where the West is, the world is in a lot of ways. The world's not ending.
Yeah.
Nothing. Now, certain cycles are ending, certain institutions are ending, certain ways of thought are ending. And that's the way identity works, man. When a lot of like when your identity breaks, it feels like you're dying, like for a lot of people. And certain things are gonna die. Not even, of course, people are gonna die, but that's just the way the world. People are always dying and being born or whatever. But like there's a lot of change coming. And for a lot of people, it's gonna feel like death, like the world is ending. I mean, like think about like how many people when the college basketball, the March Madness was canceled in 2020, they were like, oh, they're like, it's just like, but like that's the whole point, is that if that's your whole identity, world's ending, right? Same thing, exact same thing. And like I think that's what a lot of people have problems differentiating between those things,
No, that's really well said. I never thought about that angle, but that's definitely accurate. It seems like the world is definitely changing and advancing and pushing forward like it always does. That's very interesting. And I mean, we're all staring at our phones, so it just feels really real. We're just like in this weird virtual reality, like with a phone. It doesn't even make. Everyone just like thinks they're right because there's so many media bubbles. There's like very little truth in just a bunch of media bubbles too. It's like
one of the best things that's happened to me is being out here, because what's so cool about being on land is that the sheep don't have phones. And they don't care. And, like the chickens get fed or they die. Right. And like when you get the meme about go walk on grass is real.
I agree.
There is a real truth about that. And it's not just metaphorical, and it's not just a distraction. Like I can feel, I've been out here 2 years now. I can feel how different my nervous system is. And it's not even like I got rid of my phone, or I still have a phone. I mean, it's right here. And like I have a TV, like I'm not a Luddite or whatever, but like when you anchor yourself in family, however you define family, it doesn't have to, if your real family is dysfunctional, make it your own family, which I've done. And it's great. You anchor yourself in family, in land, in community, in animals, in nature, in people around you that matter to you. It's hard to get caught up in bullshit, right? Because you realize, well, that stuff doesn't matter, at least to me. Like so many Americans are so stuck in like arguing about Israel versus Palestine now and all that. And it's like, don't get me wrong, man, there's all kinds of horrible shit going on over there. But you know whose problem that is? The Jews and the Palestinians.
Right, yeah. No,
those two have a problem, man, for real. And if I was one of them or with them, then I'd be like, yeah, we got to work this out. Like if I'm in a fist fight with somebody, like we got to work it out, right? But if I'm watching a fist fight, not my fight.
I can't believe we got involved in all that. I mean, even Ukraine, it's like, fuck Ukraine too. It's like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I mean, it's just like, I can't believe that. I mean, I can't believe that we get involved in all these conflicts. It's like, it just is not. It has nothing to do with me. And I don't give a fuck. I mean, but if you tag mainland Missouri, I mean, you tag mainland America. I mean, I may have something to say differently, but I mean, obviously I will. But I feel like I agree. And it's just like, I don't give a fuck about any of their fights. I don't care about the conflicts. I'm not going to die over like fake religions. I think they're both fake religions. But I mean, not to be rude, but I mean, it's just like, it's not my thing. And like, God bless them, still, whatever. I mean, I could be wrong too. I mean, I'm not that fucking stubborn to where I think I'm always right, But
well, at the core, it's not our problem.
100%. Yeah, no, it's not. And like, if they both,
like, it's not like seriously. Like, it's sort of like, imagine if like my wife and I were having an argument, and you just like at a restaurant, it's like, hey, like what? It's like, the fuck's wrong with you, right? And like, well, we gave money to Israel. Okay, I get what all the arguments are. I get it, right? But at the end of the day, if you really care that much, and some people do, man, there are some people who are working for aid organizations in Palestine or whatever, in Gaza. Cool, great. They're at least putting their money where their mouth is. They have skin in the game, and I can respect that, right? But like, what the fuck are you arguing on Twitter about whatever with like somebody you don't know? But like, you've lost. Like, it's sort of like you said, someone attacked Missouri. I mean, bro, the war's already started. This is just not a shooting war. This is a mimetic war, a war for minds. And the war has already started and is raging right now. And the way you lose is to argue with a bunch of fucking nitwits about Israel and Palestine when you live in Missouri. Like if you're arguing about that on Twitter instead of paying attention to your kids, you have lost that battle in that war. That's it. You're over.
Yeah, I definitely think it's different, man. It's definitely like a spiritual war. It's definitely a mental war. I mean, I mean, and there's so many fronts. I mean, there's already 2 fronts in this world war already. I mean, we'll probably have more. I mean, it's just like, it's not a good time. And like, I mean, we had it good for a while. You know, I'm not really worried, to be honest. My soul's infinite. And whatever, I just come back again. You know, it's like whatever. You know, whatever you fucking even happens. I'm not that concerned about it really. Any of it. I mean, I have opinions, but they don't fucking matter. You mean it's just like I have my own opinions, and like I feel like. I don't know. It's just like constant, just sadness and just pumped into us constantly. And I'm just like, shut up. You get a president.
You can just reject it, man. You can just say, no, that's not mine.
Yeah, I mean, I do, and they just creates more arguments with people. They fucking want to argue about me not caring. And it's
That's
just like,
then they can go argue. I'll have fun. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go over here with my kids.
Yeah, no, that's real, man. And that's about where I'm at. I'm like, how old are you again?
48.
48. Yeah. When did you start having kids?
I waited, thankfully, because I would have been a really shitty father if I had kids early. My oldest is 9, so 39.
Okay, and I'm 37. I'm about to that point where I start having kids too, I think. And like I mean, and I think I didn't want to in my 20s. I was like one of those guys that thought like having kids was fucking stupid, to be honest with you. If you asked me at 21, I'd be like,
it is in your 20s. It's stupid to have kids for most dudes in their early 20s, especially. Yeah. Most dudes aren't ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I had nothing going. Yeah, no, I had nothing going. Like, but now I could easily like afford to feed them and shit now. You know, you know what I mean? It's like
I can keep my kids alive now.
I mean, that's how I feel, though. I mean, and I think I'm getting that. And one of my buddies, like, he's like that too. He kind of just had a kid's a little bit older, and I think that's about where I'm at. And like, I just feel like the older I get, the more I actually care about things and have values and stuff, and actually just, I mean, and I definitely see that being the future, and like, but no, back to like the actual interview part of the show. I feel like I've just, but your marketing is on point, man. Like you and Ryan Holiday had like some of the best marketing, I think, in the 2000s, man. Like some of the shit you guys would pull, and like it was just like was fucking hilarious. Like I want to point out what'd you get Kim Kardashian to post some dumb shit about herself one time?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
That shit
it
was
was
so
something
funny.
funny about black something. I don't remember, black dicks, or I don't know.
Dude, I remember reading that shit as a kid, just thinking that was so fucking funny, bro.
Yeah.
And, like, your guys' guerrilla marketing, I think, is very, very like 2000s, man. I think that not people still haven't caught up to that quite yet. I don't think. Like as far as
you know, it's funny. It's why it's so easy for me to see the rage bait now and not fall into it, because like, right, I was one of the first people to really exploit that online.
I think
right.
So.
And like more than a decade ago, I was getting people super riled up about fucking nonsense. Right. So it, which is like, yeah, the irony. I'm like, why is everyone falling for this? Well, like, I mean, that's the funny thing, is that it's actually, I like, in a way I kind of feel bad, because like it's like it wasn't fucked up, like, because a lot of what we were doing was kind of funny. I wasn't trying to manipulate someone into getting into war or whatever, but I was still using the same triggers and the same devices and the same wiring hacks, right? But I wish more people got it, man. That shit, I fall for it too sometimes. There's definitely, you look at my Twitter feed, you'll find every now and then, like, I'll fall into a trap and I fucking go ham on some other person. It's like arguing. It's like, but like, it's tough, man. It's tough to fall out of it. They worked funny, a lot of them, and they worked really well. But at the same time, it's like, it almost feels like a teenager, like, oh, remember when we used to like toilet paper people's houses? Like, okay, that's funny, but also like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what were you doing? You know, like, the problem is, this is what there's entire governmental agencies that are dedicated to perfecting this and then executing it at scale on Americans. Like, thank you, Obama, by the way. But
you're right, and I think like that was the difference. Yeah, I saw your mentality is like an adolescent, like prankster kind of mentality. I mean, I see it now like that. As a kid, as a kid, I thought it was fucking funny. I didn't really think that deeply about it. I mean, I remember reading "I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell" and thought that was just a fucking funny book. You mean like like
It is.
to me, it was just entertaining and it was funny. And like, yeah, as an adult, I kind of see that. But it's also the thing too is like what I thought was interesting when I reached out to you originally was that you grew out of that and you're not just like you're not like almost like 50 trying to be Fonzie still. You know, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that like you have to grow as a person. I think that's very important too. And I think that like you're not. I mean, it's like the Beatles without like how they evolved in like the short amount of time they were a band too. It's like they went from like I want to hold your hand, like these psychedelic records and stuff. And I think that like that's kind of the same thing I see you do as an artist too. And I think that's important. And I think that's a good message for people that probably grew up reading your books. It's that like that wasn't the end game. That was just like adolescence. Like, you know, it was like the end game wasn't being like a womanizing prankster kind of vibe and like just partying all the time and stuff like that. But I mean, but now it's like it's evolved and like you're like and I respect that a lot. And I think that a lot more people need to see that and also like kind of practice that. And, you know, I think there's not a lot of good examples of famous people growing wise and old. You know, there's not a lot of good examples of that. There's not a lot of people talking about like finding God, having a family, and like land and like a ranch in your case. And I just think that's more. And in the next couple interviews I have on here, or whatever I even call this show, is a lot of people like that. I think like this one guy, one of the next guys I have, he was like a guy who would like shoplift and just yell like "boom gang." He'd like steal a bunch of shit, like a whole lot of gang shit, blah blah. And now the guy's like a huge Christian, and like it's interesting seeing him going from like shoplifting internet fame to like that. And I think you did a lot of that too, without as much. I mean, different sins, you know, different adolescent sins, but different,
Right.
but growing. And I think that's important. I think I personally think it's important. I think people need to hear that, because I think that like it's like that quote. It's like people used to take acid to be weird. Now they're taking Prozac to be normal. You know, and I think that's like kind of a thing that like that society needs. They need to realize that that people they look up to or people they read about or people whatever, they grow and they're human beings and they you know what I mean, they don't stay adolescent forever. And although wildly entertaining, I'd probably
Well, it depends on the person, actually.
and that's sad. And no, you're right, and that's sad. And that's what I meant as a compliment that you actually were smart enough to grow wise and like grow as a person. Like you seem like you still have a good sense of humor. You didn't become boring.
I mean, I wish I could say I was smart enough. What really happened was I suffered enough.
What do you mean by
like? I mean, like, listen, if it hadn't have been painful, I never would have stopped, you know, hooking up with a bunch of girls and, you know, just having a irresponsible party lifestyle. But like, you know, that's just not fulfilling. You know, like ultimately for a while, it's super fun. Don't get me wrong. Like I had a ton of fun in certain ways. I'm glad I did it, at least to go through the experience. But like, almost no one changes from wisdom. Like, you know what? Like they're not smart about it. Like that's a rare person who learns from the mistakes of others, right? And I'm not one of those, man. Like maybe in a few specific instances. Most people change because they have suffered so much as who they are and what they're doing that they're sick of that shit and they're willing to do something else. Like that, and that I was the same way, man. I had to suffer a lot before I was willing to look at myself at all and accept responsibility, you know, and own kind of what was going on. And so what a lot of people do in that situation is they'll either double down on what they're doing or they just like stay who they are, right? Or they'll change just a little bit enough, or they take Prozac, what you said, they numb the pain, right? And I was never going to do that. Like I'm not like that. Numbing the pain is to me the worst way to deal with it. Like I was like, why am I in pain? Let's solve the problem, right? Getting rid of the pain is not solving the problem. That's masking the problem, right? And so like I changed because I suffered. That's it. Like, and now suffering led to wisdom, right? I tried everything I could to avoid having to take responsibility for my actions. If I could have found a way to do it, I would have. It doesn't exist, right? At least in stay healthy. You know, every path led to more suffering. The only path out of suffering was doing my emotional work, was the hard path, the responsible path, Like that's it. Which doesn't necessarily mean having to have kids. Like my specific iteration of responsibility is not the same as everyone else's. Like mine is mine. But the point is, like, you know, I had to get sick of my own suffering before I was ready to do it.
That's interesting, and you hit on a lot of points that I agree with too. Like I think the numbing thing, like I would just change smoke weed and stuff, like through stuff. And I'm just now getting off all that. I'm like, not that sounds like a pussy thing, but I'm getting off weed, guys. You know, but I mean, I literally would mask everything. I would change smoke joints and eat mad edibles and stuff. You know, and I think I'm kind of getting onto that. And I think it is like the same kind of thing you're saying. I think it definitely helps to deal with yourself. I think, you know, and everyone's got different problems. I'm not trying to relate to your story or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said, man. That's very interesting and very self-reflective. And I think that most people would either not see that or not be able to talk about that. Like, to be honest, like I feel like that. And you haven't lost your sense of humor too, which is interesting too. Because I think before I had you on here, I was kind of wondering. I'm like now these like homesteading stuff, is he still fucking funny? And like you're still hilarious. You know what I mean? So it's like you didn't like lose your sense of humor in it all. You still like have yourself. You just grew as a person. You know, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's ideally the way it should work, man. Like I was not one of those who you know, you'll see like famous people or models, like people who kind of noteworthy people who do things will sometimes like get into a real bad spot and then quote unquote find God. But it just seems to me like all they do is God becomes their next addiction, right? Or religion does. And like that wasn't me at all. Like I in no way, shape, or form do I consider myself religious. I don't go to church. I don't believe in dogma. I think it's all a shield. I think it's all bullshit. I mean, I love the teachings of Christ and of Buddha and whatever, but I think all they're doing is pointing the way, right? And telling you, okay, here's kind of the way to do it. Here's a way to walk the path, but you got to walk the path and you got to have the experience. And I think most religion is a shield from actual experience. And so like I found God, but in a way very few people do, and in a very different way. And to me, it was a direct experience. Not like it wasn't like I was sitting up talking to God, but more the experience of God. And I was like, oh, it was so funny, dude. It was actually I had never done psychedelics recreationally, and then started doing them medicinally. And it was amazing for me, man. It worked wonders. MDMA therapy was amazing. And then I did MDMA with LSD, and it was like all of the teachings of Christ and Buddha made sense. I was like, I didn't understand at all what they were talking. And I had this deep, deep feeling of oneness of all things, you know, which is very common on psychedelics. But and I was like, oh, this is exactly what Jesus meant when he said the kingdom of heaven is within. And like, I was like, oh, fuck, this is what religious people, you know, like, I don't know if you know, like, you know, you meet those Christians who are like, they so embody the teachings of Christ that you're like, if all Christians were like you, I'd be Christian, you know? I got a friend like that who's actually from Utah. He's Mormon. And he's just like radiates love and peace. And just like, he's like the platonic ideal of an amazing Christian, right? And I remember like a few days after I did LSD and I had the experience of God, I called him and I'm like, bro, when you say you have a relationship with God, you actually mean that literally, don't you? You mean you're experiencing this? And I kind of described the oneness and all. He goes, yeah, dude, I've been trying to tell you this. And I'm like, bro, I thought you were stupid. I thought you just believed the Mormon church's nonsense, like a transparently ridiculous dogma. He goes, well, yeah, I mean, like he didn't really say I don't believe the dogma, but he kind of is like, that's not what I mean when I talk about a relationship with God. And I was like, oh God, I had never had the experience, that joyful rapture, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh, well, fuck, man, if this is what religious people are talking about, now I know why they believe. If this is what they call faith, I wouldn't call it faith at all because it's an experience to me. I get it. And like, that's real. The experience was real. And I was like, oh, fuck, man. Well, now I know. Now I still think a lot of religious people have not had that experience. They're just believing because they were told that and whatever. But the people who have shared whatever, some version of that. And it can, I'm not trying to gatekeep the experience, because I, like, by no means do I know all ways it can happen or whatever. But like, I get it. Like, and that, like, that experience very specifically, along with a lot of the other stuff, was part of where I was like, oh, and like immediately I'm like, oh, atheism's stupid. Oh, that's just dumb. Like, no, it's totally wrong. It's just wrong. Like, that's clearly wrong.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's like, once you have that experience, like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't know how people like Sam Harris can do mushrooms and claim he has these transcendent experiences and then turn around and reject God. I'm like, bro, what the fuck do you think God is, you idiot? Like, how can you have those experiences and still somehow spreadsheet brain yourself into saying God doesn't exist? Like, what is wrong? I can understand if you've never had the experience where I was. Like, I actually think there's a level of intelligence and education where if you're not atheist, you're stupid, because the arguments for God don't make sense. Like, the intellectual arguments for God are just flat out wrong. They are philosophically inconsistent. There is no evidence for them. They are wrong. God's not an argument. You don't argue your way to God. You experience.
I definitely agree with that, and I think that it says in the Bible actually how people that don't believe or whatever in whatever terminology, they just will always, like, it calls them like fool. So like, basically they'll never. How do I describe this? It said in the Bible somewhere that basically, if you don't believe in God, it will all seem ridiculous to you, and you have to have that experience to understand it almost. And I was an atheist for a while too. I mean, or I guess more satanic without really understanding it, you know. And I think even like when you were like living your lifestyle, I mean, you still called your book "I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell," so you knew it was still sin. You mean, like, even so, people sinning still know it's sinning, even if they're not like readily admitting it, you know. But so I mean, I think that that a lot of what you said, I definitely agree. I started out that way too. I mean, so you weren't like you didn't believe in God your entire life either, like basically.
No, I was always atheist, even as a little kid, just because, like, I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. What do you mean, like, part of the Red Sea? That's stupid. You can't do that. Like, what? Like, I'm like, guys, these are all fables. Like, what is wrong with you idiot adults? Like, why would you not realize these are metaphors and fables? Which I still think they are, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong. Like, no one looks at the Greek gods and says, well, these are stupid stories because they're not true. It's like, no, they're fucking metaphors and fables to teach and experience whatever. And it's like, okay, great, take them for what they are, right? It just into logically, you cannot get from logic and reason to God. I don't care what Aquinas says. I don't care what Sir Thomas More says. Like, you cannot do it. It doesn't work. They are the thing that came super clear to me was like, it was like, I don't even know what, like, a good metaphor. It's like reason and logic are great, and in a material world, to help you explain and understand a material world within a certain system, reason and logic and rationality are fantastic tools, but they are limited, right? And I think the experience of God is like a different level of consciousness, and I just don't think you can get to God from reason and logic and rationality. In fact, I know you can't, because
I think God selects you. That's how I felt. I felt like I was almost like draft picked by God almost, because I went from just like a kind of moron, kind of prankster kind of vibe to like I felt how dirty my soul was, and I'm like, oh man, that's went wrong. What, you know?
I think it's the other way around. I think God's always there. I think the experience is always there and available, and you opt in.
Okay, that could be. I mean, that definitely could be too. I mean, I can see both sides.
I mean, I needed psychedelics to help open me up, because I was so traumatized and so much shit, and I just couldn't. I didn't know how to open up. And then now I feel like I can connect into that energy. I would not call that talking to God, or it's just connecting into the divine energy, right? I feel like I can do that pretty well. Maybe not at will, but like if I stop and focus and are very sincere about it, I can connect into that energy, at least on some level, pretty much anytime I want, right? And so I think that ability was always there. It's just me, like I have to decide that I'm going to do that. And I think that requires, you know, all the humility. I don't think it really requires faith the way I think of faith as belief without proof. And I mean, the experience of God was more, that's proof to me. Like I believe my experiences. At least I don't know everything it means, right? But I know like I know water is wet because I experience it. Like that's the proof I need, right?
Yeah. And
like I don't.
A lot of things kind of coincide with the Bible as a history book too. I mean, for the Red Sea argument, they were finding a bunch of like stuff at the bottom of the sea. But, like,
Dude, look, man, yeah, because you could drop it out of fucking boats. Look, man, people who are, bro, you know what? Vegans who try and make everything burgers, you know, like, oh, I got like that always feels like the religious people who are trying to reason their way into why the Bible's literally correct. And it's funny. Like, listen, man, like you can find good evidence that there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that maybe is more true than people think. But like at the same time, like, you know, I'm not buying that Methuselah is 900 years old, right? And like, come on, like let's just and honestly, I don't even care how accurate it is in terms of a historical document, right? Like, if is it 10% accurate, is it 80% accurate? It doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't, like, at least to me, like, right. What matters is what can I take from it now? How can it help me relate to my kids, be a better man, understand my world, connect better with the energy of the divine, whatever, right? And whether it's literally happened or it's a story, what difference does it make to me? You know, I mean, it's an interesting question. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It is. But like, it's sort of like arguing about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. It's like, what does it matter?
Yeah, no, I get that. It doesn't necessarily matter, I guess. But it's like, yeah, and I think everybody's experience is kind of different. And I think everybody's like, this all collab with the planet. You know, I think everybody's kind of experience is different. And I mean, and it looks like on like topographical maps, it seems like we're on the top of mountains after the flood still too. I mean, like just like a lot of things I've seen that like that just kind of like makes sense later that I probably would have just laughed at as like a kid. I probably, if you asked me in like 21, I probably would have laughed at everything I just fucking said, to be honest with you. But as an adult, I feel like I almost like see more signs of it. But I don't necessarily have proof. I mean, there's no fucking proof on this earth. That's the test, you know? I feel like.
I mean, I got all the proof I needed.
I just mean like you're saying with the logic and reason aspect of proof.
Yeah. No. I mean, I can tell you as someone who studied this, like the spreadsheet brain philosophers who say that you cannot reason your way to God are right. They are right. But that fact by itself does not disprove the existence of God.
Oh, definitely.
The lack of evidence for something does not mean evidence does not exist.
100%.
Right? And the way that they think of as evidence, like defining evidence from a rational perspective, that's only one kind of evidence, right? And so you can't convince me that my experience didn't exist. And I'm not going to tell you, you know, I talked to God or that means that God exists or whatever. I unquestionably experienced the transcendent. And there are people like who have arguments, it's like the biochemical process and this and that. And I'm like, nah, I know that. I know the evidence for that. I know why you're saying that. I know where it's going. And I know what I felt and I know what I saw. And it wasn't just that one experience on LSD. I've had plenty of others on other medicines where I'm like, okay, like, first off, shit's way more complicated than the Christians think in terms of the afterlife and everything else. I think the Buddhists are probably more accurate. And it appears like the Tibetan and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which were written like 1,000 years apart, are very similar, are almost exactly right. But like the point is, however you want to define God's source and all-encompassing energy, divine energy, whatever, unquestionably exists. And so it's just like, okay, cool. And so now for me, it's just like, all right, well, that exists. Now it's just about connecting with it, maybe trying to understand it a little bit, work with it, That's it. You know?
Yeah, I definitely I think reincarnation is real. I tend to.
No doubt.
I think I
No
picked this.
doubt.
I think I
No
remember
doubt.
picking this wife even. I think I remember even like selecting this wife out of like a couple other like.
That's a
choices.
heretical view for Christianity, though. By the way,
I agree.
reincarnation.
I know that.
Well, no, but although actually modern Christianity, because early Christianity, you look at the Essenes and the Gnostics and the early Christians were all like almost every religion, karma is a foundational, karma and reincarnation, but reincarnation is a foundational, multiple lives foundational belief. It was only, I think it was like the Council of Nicaea, the Diet of Worms, or one of those that kind of removed that from the Christian, the sort of the Christian belief system. But like it's a modern heretical view, but it's unquestionably right, I think.
I do think that I do think I've been here before, and I do think that it's another test, and like but I mean I like as a Christian I don't feel like I'm in like this like Tupperware jar of like Christian. I think Jesus is the gateway to like you know, and I think like I definitely believe Jesus like died for our sins and all stuff, and I even have like this like rosary, and I'm not Catholic, you know. It's like I just think Christ was a prophet, son of God, and I believe in God, but I don't think I understand fucking anything. I think I have a bunch of guesses, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, I mean I'm just still kind of figuring it out. I'm basically a fucking moron, and I'm self-aware of that. You know, I'm self-aware of the fact that I have I'm like my soul had some weird amnesia thing when I came here, to where they blocked out past memories. Or
I think
something.
that's the way it works, man. I don't know many people who walk around like know all their past lives. That's a pretty rare thing, dude.
Have you seen those hypnotist studies? Like with that?
Yeah. No, like Dolores Cannon, and there's some people who do some amazing stuff with that. That's like, whoa, what are they doing? Like, this is like, there's no way. Like, to be taught, like, hypnotize some woman who's like speaking Aramaic and talking about some shit that like historians are like, how the hell does she know that? Like, yeah, no, there's something there, man. For sure, there's something there.
I listen to the audiobooks. I'm illiterate, but I really believe that story, and like it's weird. It felt real when they were describing it to me. Like that whole like past life thing really made a lot of sense, and I think like it really clicked with me, and I think that like I don't know. I don't think you could even that's the problem I have with Christianity is mostly is that like is like they put themselves in this like genre thing. Like, and then they're just like, oh, I can only believe these things I'm fucking told to believe, and like all this stuff, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's just about serving God, really, and like being a good person, which comes in like the karma and all that too. You know, like the other religions speak of.
I mean, listen, it's not what Jesus said. I mean, like, no, it's true. If you look,
I agree. I'm laughing
at the Bible, right? Well, first off, like, you know, listen, what's written in the Bible, who knows how accurate that is to what Jesus said. I don't know. I claim no special expertise on that at all. But if you look at what Jesus actually taught, you really look at like the Jeffersonian Bible or the red line version, where it's like, what did Jesus say? And in what context? And what did he probably mean? Right? If you look at that, it's not about like what he basically, it appears to me what he's trying to do is teach people, and he says this over and over. Like he says, you know, you can do what I do, you can have what I have. Like all you must do is ask and to receive. Like he talks about manifestation, he talks about healing trauma, he talks about connecting with source, with God, you know, with the Father. He talks about kingdom of heaven is within. What he's doing is teaching people how to do the work, right? How to do the emotional work, how to connect with source outside of the church. He's like, bro, I mean, this dude went into the fucking temples and kicked over the fucking tables and like cursed at and debated with all the priests. There's no one who hated the organized religion more than Jesus. No one.
Yeah, and the
right?
Christians.
No one. And so Jesus was like not just a radical for his time, but if you actually look at his teachings, independent, like I grew up going to Episcopal church, so it's like it's not even real religion. It's like a social club that has like a cross at the front, and
that's actually how I view all churches.
No, but Episcopal doesn't even pretend really. And so when I really got to like Jesus and studied him, it was from a very objective perspective without a lot of baggage, right? And it was like, oh, well, shit, man, like this makes sense. Like I'm not talking about when I studied in college, like from a historical whatever. I'm talking about like after like I had the experience of God and then went back and like read like the Gospels. I'm like, this is not what you're told Jesus. Like the whole how many people like Jesus is Lord? Bro, Jesus like was very clear about no. I'm not, don't worship me. Like it's very clear in the Gospels. I want these, listen to my teachings to have the experience I had. Don't worship me and then imitate what I'm doing as a mockery instead of having the experiences. Bro, if you look at communion, it seems to me it's like a cargo cult. It's people imitating the actions of Jesus instead of having the experience of Jesus that Jesus had, right? And like that's what I think and this is without even getting into the weird stuff, man. Like if you read like the guy who like the one guy on the Dead Sea Scrolls committee who like kind of broke from the group and is like, I need to tell the truth of what's in here. And like, I mean, like he wrote some crazy shit, man, like about how like basically Jesus was in a mushroom cult. And that like do you know what I'm talking about? Like no one knows this.
Talk about that a lot. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I definitely.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Bro, I read his stuff and I read it a few years ago and I was like, I'm actually going to come back to it now because like when I read it, I'm like, okay, I have no way to know if what this guy is saying is accurate or not. But if he's right, this is fucking nuts. This is crazy. Right. And I don't know, man. Like I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't know. But the point is, at a minimum, I think like what he taught, if you really look at it, man, and you really read it, and you got to assume the Gospels have been edited by a bureaucratic organization that wants you to not worship. They want you to say Jesus is Lord because if he's Lord and they're his representatives on earth, then they're in charge. Right? But what if that's not what he's saying? Read it as if he's trying to teach you how to commune with God.
He is. No, he is. And
then it's different. It's very different.
No, I agree with that a lot, honestly. Like, I definitely understand this week. Yeah. I mean, if I was the devil, I would definitely trick everybody by religion. You know, I mean, it definitely makes sense. In like King James, like rewrote it, and there's books missing, and there's like, oh, I mean, this century these books matter, the next century they don't. It's just, I mean, it doesn't.
Gospel of Mary, Gospel of Thomas, Gospel. There's quite a few. Yeah.
Crazy, man. Like, but I feel like before we talk for 9 more hours, we should get out of here. I feel like you have stuff to do. I feel like I have stuff to do. I feel like this has gone on too long, but it could go on.
I'm actually up past my bedtime. It's 10 o'clock my time. I'm normally in sleep right now. That's how you know I got young kids. 10 o'clock. Oh no, bedtime.
Yeah, I'm an early guy too. I wake up. But no, I appreciate you, like you said, I appreciate going backwards in your career and coming here for this cell phone podcast. I definitely appreciate that. And like a lot of good conversation, a lot of good talks, and like no, I appreciate that, man. Like it was an honor to meet you after reading your book years ago and stuff. I was a big fan of your work and stuff, so honored to meet you as well. If there's anything you want to throw out, like link wise, I mean, just whatever promo you want. There's still like 500 people watching right now, so if you want to throw it out to them.
No, I mean, the only thing I really would have the promo is I just launched. I'm doing a memoir mastermind because I'm writing my next memoir, and like I wasn't writing it and I was being a total shitbird, and so like I'm like, all right, how can I make myself write this? And so I'm like, oh shit, I'll just like get a group of people to pay me money to teach them how to do it and take them through the process and promise them that I'm going to write mine with them, which I will, and then I'll never let those people down, which is true. Like that's the best way to make sure I show up is to make a promise to people I care about, especially people who are paying me and like who are trusting me. And so I launched that program like 2 weeks ago. It's doing great. Like I've already got about 10 really good people signed up for it or so. It's on tuckermax.com. It's like the first post, but it's like super expensive. It's like 30 grand. I'm not trying to do a podcast to promote it. It's only for like people who have a bunch of money who want to write their memoir. And like, I'm probably going to end up writing a book on this and launching a lower end program that's make it way more accessible to a ton of people. Cause I think there's a lot of people who want to tell their story and I want to help. Like, I'm really good at that, and that's a thing that I don't think's ever really been taught super well. And so I'll end up coming out with that book and having a super cheap or free program for people eventually. But like, that's the thing I'm doing right now. My next step is I'm writing my memoir with this group. And then I'll probably write a book about how to write a memoir and help people. Because bro, you'll see, man, if you ever write a book, the first thing everyone's going to do is ask you how you did it. And they're going to tell you they want to write a book. And if you break it down, it's always they want to tell their story. Because the reality is most people, even you meet someone who's like, oh, he's like a elementary school janitor. That is a crazy life story. It's like, oh shit, your dad left you when you were 3? Like, I mean, so I think a lot of people keep those in and they die with them in them, and it's fucking sad. And I think a lot of people, when they actually sit back and do that and think about their life and tell it, it opens up a lot. I have only seen it happen hundreds of times, right? So that's kind of my next thing, what I'm doing.
And like, when does your memoir come out? Or do you have a predicted time?
Well, no, because it has been a major roadblock for me, bro. It's a big dog thing to bring out the accountability, like the people paying you accountability device. I have been trying to write this memoir for like 4 years, and it's like, it's not coming. Like, it's all kinds of resistance, man. Which is funny because like I know everything there's to know about writing memoirs. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers, #1 bestsellers memoirs. And those are the ones I get credit for. I've NDA'd a bunch of other celeb memoirs that I got paid a lot for and my name's not on. And so I've done a bunch, right? I know how to do this. But bro, knowing how to do it is not, that's not the hard part of the memoir. It's sitting down and going through the emotional work of telling yourself the truth about your life. That's rough, dude. It's hard. And even for me, it's never not hard. It's always because the deeper you go, the harder. It's like, weightlifting. It's like, oh yeah, it used to be hard for me to bench 225, and now I do it for reps. Well, there's still a weight that I struggle at, And so like 315 is still really hard. It's really hard for me now, or whatever the weight is. And so like same thing with memoir. The deeper you go, the more you kind of go into your life. You can always find a part that's really hard.
Yeah, I'll definitely read that when that comes out, man. I think you're a great writer. Good with work, like just words in general, man. Like, even kind of, because I've never spoken before until today, and like you have a really articulate and very interesting way of speaking, and I think that comes across in your books as well. Like like you kind of write like you speak, I guess, because I've read your books before I met you, and like no, I think that's awesome, man. I hope everybody like kind of checks that out and stuff. Like TuckerMax.com's in the description if you guys want to check it out and be lazy and just click a button rather than type. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. And can I borrow 30 grand?
When I set up a bank, you're welcome to get in line and put up an application, but not not right now. No.
I'm just fucking around, but thanks for being on, man. I appreciate you being on my cell phone show, and thank you everybody watching. Like if Tucker wasn't here and you weren't watching, this would be fucking delusional. So I appreciate everybody taking part in this. Just be a dude in a bus fucking mumbling. So thank you all, and thank you Tucker for guesting, and thank you everybody for watching. I'm gonna get the fuck out of here though and go live my life. Later on.
Thanks, Anthony.